I got so many tingly wingly feelings right now. I just got back from the cinema and I'm pumped. This will be totally spoiler free for the first bit and then totally spoilers for the second half. I will put a warning and a bit of a space in the middle if you want to click away at that point. Also, you should obviously avoid the comment sections of any Star Wars thing if you don't want spoilers. The Last Jedi was flipping awesome. That's how I felt. But some people felt the other way, which I will talk about in the second half of this video. I will give this movie 6 various lightsabers out of 6. Why do I rank things out of 6? I don't know. I just do. So yeah, this movie got a top score from me. I mean, it's not perfect, that's for sure, but nothing's perfect. It was a bit long, maybe, so maybe it's only 5 out of 6 lightsabers. I don't know. I was pumped, and having just come out of the theater all jacked up on Star Wars juice, maybe that's warping my critical mind. However, if you haven't seen this movie already, I reckon you should probably go and see it right away. I think it's the best Star Wars movie since the original trilogy. And I know most people rank some of the newer films a bit higher than Return of the Jedi, mostly because Ewoks, but I don't know. The original trilogy was a near perfect trilogy in my opinion. This movie comes close, maybe even equal to it. So here is a list of good things, and here's a list of not so good things about this film. Again, there will be no spoilers until I put a big flashing spoiler banner up about halfway through this review. Good things! Luke was awesome. And although many people say he was a little bit of a bitch in the old films, I have always liked him, and he is totally badass in this movie. Mark Hamill gave a sensational performance, and having Luke back in the Star Wars franchise definitely gave me big old nostalgic tingly wingly feelings. All the cast was great actually, so amazing cast. The action was incredible both in space and on the ground. The lightsaber battles were fresh, and it was cool to see new technology as well. So new technology is another good thing. Without spoiling anything, let's just say we get some new tech and the film moves in a new direction altogether. Which brings me to unexpected twists and turns. After we get the death of Han Solo in The Force Awakens, I think everyone was on edge during this film. But just when you think one thing is going to happen, something else does, keeping you on the edge of your seat. It really sort of broke expectations. It was completely different to what all the theories were saying. It was pretty cool in that regard. But at the same time, we had some pretty good nostalgic callbacks. Some subtle and some not so subtle. Old and new mixing together, like it bloody should be. It gave me the tingly winglies, and I liked it. Good pacing, though maybe it was a bit long and a bit crammed. I mean, this whole thing was one long action film, really. There wasn't much of a breather, but let's talk about that before I spoil the heck out of this film. Bad things. There was a lot going on, and it is weird, but I kept thinking, can't we just stay in this scene a bit longer? Because it kind of jumps around a lot, and I needed a breather. So to cram so much in, they also made it longer. But it's not really boring. I actually wanted some slow-paced scenes. This film is pretty much non-stop action from start to end. Is this bad? Is this good? For me, that's not so good, I guess. What else is bad? I don't know. Nothing. I really love this film. Maybe all this will change after a second viewing, maybe not. What I will do now is talk about why other people didn't like it, but I'm going to do this in the spoiler sections, like right now. So go away if you don't want any spoilers, because here they come. You ready? Any second now. Spoilers from here on out. Go and see the movie, then come back, or don't. Do whatever you want, who cares? And spoilers. Here, I will list what I believe to be the major events, reveals, deaths, and so on. This is what I think people are most likely going to be discussing at the water cooler the next day after watching the film. I work mostly from home, so I don't have a water cooler or anyone to talk to. But you know, regular people with regular jobs might. So let's start with Snoke dying, uneventfully without revealing his backstory. Who he is, where he came from, what he is, how he started the New Order, and so on. It just really pissed people off. There was so much hype about Snoke, and then suddenly, kinda uneventfully, Kylo just kills him. Well, I say uneventfully, but that's not how I felt. The whole battle scene that followed was one of the sickest fucking fight scenes I've ever seen. That was some tasty lightsaber battling, man. People are a bit mad, not because Snoke died. Most agree that him dying is a fresh and cool way to mix things up before the third film in this arc comes out, but people just wanted to know more about his backstory. Personally, I don't really care. I don't need to know everything about everything, it doesn't matter. All the Snoke hype was fan created anyway. Also, maybe we will get some more info on him in the next film, or subsequent films, or prequels, or whatever. It could be kinda nice to see where he came from, I guess, but it really doesn't bother me, and I really don't give a crap. Let's not forget we didn't know shit about the Emperor his backstory in the original trilogy either, at least not until the prequels came out. And at the time, everyone was pretty cool with it, I guess. I mean, I didn't have the internet back then, so who knows. I feel like it's just this generation. Everyone wants to know everything all the time, and maybe that is an internet thing, because you have so much information all the time that you can look up anything you want, and then when you don't know something, people get really lost and start freaking out. But for me, I like that. It's like, I like mystery, and there's just no mystery anymore, so I don't really give a shit about Snoke. I like how they killed him off. Just like, bam, dead, game over. It's very Games of Thronesy. This will allow for Kylo to become the main villain in the forefront, unlike every other Star Wars movie where the main bad guy has always been a shadowy villain pulling the strings behind the curtain. It's nice to have the main baddie right up and in your face. Now, without his master, Kylo can take charge. This is completely new for Star Wars, and I really liked that they did this. I liked how they got rid of the master and apprentice thing, and now we just have a bad mofo taking the reins. Some speculate, though, that this might not be the end of Snoke, and that all his scars are from him coming back to life again and again. We shall see. Also, there will most likely be a prequel film or trilogy or something set to bridge the gap between episodes 6 and 7, where we could flesh out the Snoke stuff a bit more. I don't really care for this, though. I fucking hate prequels. Let's keep on moving, baby. That's what I always say. Let's keep on moving, baby. Yep, that's what I say. Space Leia. Arguably the most disliked part of this film. How could she survive in space? Why does she have force powers? And bloody hell, what's going on? You know what? I like this scene a lot. It felt powerful and magical, and I just dug it. I mean, as my podcast partner, Mr. Tope, put it, Star Wars will always be space wizards, which is how I feel. So I love the more surreal stuff. The Force is cool, space wizards are cool. So let's not also forget that Leia has Force sensitivity. She is the daughter of Vader, and we've seen her connect to Luke and feel things in the Force many times before. Also, it's been 30 years or something. Who knows what tricks Luke had taught her before he left. Also, she is in space where there is zero friction, just a tiny little bit of force pull, and she could easily drag herself towards the ship. How did she survive in the vacuum of space though? That's a little bit more hard to believe. And was she dead? And did she come back alive? We don't know. She probably did not die and resurrect, but more like she force shielded herself. Either way, I thought it was a very powerful moment, and since the sad passing of Carrie Fisher, I just fucking adore any scene with her in it. Warm tingly winglies. Another thing people didn't really like that much was the score. The music was fine but not remarkable. At least that's what some people say. It worked, but it wasn't outstanding. Now, as much as I disliked the prequels, that is episode 1, 2, 3, the music was really, really awesome in those. It's some of the best scoring I've ever heard. In this one, not so much, but it wasn't bad. It's just not standoutish. That being said, many of the iconic themes were present throughout the film in one adaptation or another, so that was cool. A lot of throwbacks there. Not enough Chewie. People wanted more Chewie because he's cool and cute, and he totally reminds me of my German Shepherd. I grew up with a Chewie, and then I got another Chewie when inevitably my childhood Chewie passed away. My Shepherd was my Chewie, and on-screen Chewie has always reminded me of a man's best friend. But yeah, you can't please everyone, and this film was long enough, and I think we got a satisfactory amount of Chewie in this film. Also, his scenes with the Porgs were adorable. I was satisfied. I would love more Chewie in the next film though, as he is one of the few remaining original characters. Speaking of which, Lightspeed Kamikaze. What the fudge? Such an epic moment. Some people say it should have been an old school character going out in style, like a Leia or an Admiral Akbar. R.I.P. Akbar. We love you. Such a fan favorite, but also why are there not lightspeed weapons? Like, even X-Wing set to autopilot and just ramming through Star Destroyers in lightspeed. I feel like that could be a thing. Surely someone has thought of it before. Maybe we will see more of this in the future? Or maybe you can only have massive ships in order to get through the shields and therefore it's not economical. Who knows? Captain Phasma's death. People were like, that was pretty abrupt. You could liken it to the Boba Fett death in Return of the Jedi. Totally cool character that the fans like, but dies kind of quickly. And again, relatively uneventful. Although it was kind of like a feud sort of thing there, it was cool to see Finn do that. But this brings me to my next point. Finn and Rose go to White Castle. White Casino. White Canterbite? I don't know. The rich people planet or city or something. People say this is the least essential plot in the film, which it probably is. You could have saved some time by just having Finn sneak onto the baddie ship or something, make up some shield fluctuation thing or whatever, and that's how he gets in, and have him still get caught, and then everything remains the same. And you could have saved a lot of time then, and needless plot. But again, for me, it was cool enough. I loved the Fathiers, or however you say that, you know, the space horses. And as an animal activist and anti-horse racing dude myself, seeing them released was totally awesome. And they were so cute. But yeah, this whole plot point felt a bit out of place, but I didn't really mind so much. I liked the character. Everything was cool. It's just, I don't know if it needed to belong in this film so much. I don't know. The Finn and Rose relationship was fine. Nothing special, but the opening bombing scene with Rose's sister sacrificing herself was totally epic and a really powerful way to start the film. Also, you do need to introduce new characters from time to time, especially since we have lost so many so far, and I'm sure there will be many more losses to come. Speaking of losses, let's talk about the big one, the transcendence of Luke Skywalker. What a powerful performance from Mark Hamill. Loved it. Loved him. It was just such a fitting end. So Yoda pops in for a bit, and some people seem okay with this for the most part. I liked it. Lightning powers though? Hell yeah. Some people say like, how did Leia fly in space? How did Yoda do the lightnings? How does Rey and Kylo talk across the universe? We've never seen that before. It's all wrong. I say, isn't it cool that we haven't seen it before? New way to utilize the Force. I love how we got fresh new Force power stuff. And the cameo from Yoda and him summoning a holy bolt from the heavens was fucking badass, man. I loved it all. Also, did anyone else notice the Jedi text on the Millennium Falcon? Of course you did. Finn opens a drawer and there are all the old books. Yoda has always been a bit of a trickster. He explodes the tree of the holy bolt and Luke is all like, yo dog, we need those texts. They're sacred and ancient. And Yoda's like, there is nothing in that tree that she does not already have. Referring to Rey. So we're meant to think, she already has all the information in her mind. But Yoda could and probably have meant it literally too. As we later find out, she actually has the books with her. She must have stolen them in order to teach herself the ways of the Force because Luke refused. Sneaky, sneaky Yoda. And Rey. Speaking of Rey, who were her parents? Well, it turns out they were just nobody, which some people were quite upset about because everybody likes the idea of this lineage, like this, the Skywalkers and the things or whatever. And let's not forget that Anakin Skywalker came from nowhere as well. I mean, supposedly he's the son of God or something. I don't know about that whole immaculate conception thing, but anyway, he was pretty much a nothing until he turned himself into Darth Vader. And so are all these Siths and stuff. I mean, you don't need to have this lineage, I don't think. The movie makes the point to say it doesn't matter where you come from, it matters where you're going. And now Rey can turn herself into something anyway. Then we get Super Luke hologram tricking Kylo at the end. That was so cool. Dusting himself off like, how powerful is this dude? He can't even die. I was thinking it was going to be like a Force shield type thing, and then we find out it's a Force projection the whole time. Man, that was just, it was too cool. I don't care what anyone says, it was a total psych out and a flipping cool way to put Kylo in his place. Fuck Kylo. That's what I'm gonna get a t-shirt that says fuck Kylo. I mean, amazing performance, amazing character, but he's a bad stinky poop. Then Luke turns into a Force ghost. Some people are saying like, how did he die? He's dead, blah, 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 blah. Well, no, he didn't really die, did he? I mean, he transcended, he evolved, he ascended into a higher plane of existence. Remember when Obi-Wan turned into a Force ghost in A New Hope? He wasn't actually struck by Vader. He phased out and the saber went right through him. It could be said that Yoda's body died of old age. He was looking pretty feeble, but again, he just faded away. So what did Luke do? He was just like the other dudes, a true Jedi master. He ascended into a Force ghost, a being of pure energy. He chose his time and place to ascend. You could easily liken this to enlightenment. He became enlightened and he knew he had to move on from this realm. Who knows what happens in this Force Ghost realm too. But you know what? I didn't even want to know. I love the mystique of it all. I hated midichlorians. I hated how they tried to explain and justify the Force. I don't want everything to be explained by science. Sometimes I really like the idea of magic and just this mystery that goes on. Not on Earth, obviously. These days, in the real world, let's get some science, man. Let's figure stuff out. But in the fantasy, sci-fi, fiction, TV, movie world, I like a bit of mystery because it lets you imagine what it is, and it creates this wonderment and this excitement. You can explore your own imagination. I don't want everything spelled out to me because I want to create it for myself in my own mind. And this was a perfect and fitting end for the Luke Skywalker arc. And as we have seen with Yoda's lightning bolt, you can still interact physically with the mortal world. So this probably won't be the last time we see Luke, especially because he says, "See you around, kid," to Kylo, which was just, he's so cool, man. I love Luke. Luke's the, I'd let him have me if he wanted. Also, those double suns rising at the end, the warm tingly winglies really got me this time. I think I even had a tear in my eye. The first time we meet Luke, we get the iconic double sunset with Luke looking to the stars in awe and wonderment. Then, in his final mortal moments, we get a double sunrise with Luke looking to the stars in understanding and satisfaction. It was just a perfect full circle. It really hit me in the feels. I grew up with these movies like many of you. I mean, New Hope was released a decade before I was born, but still, the original trilogy is what got me into sci-fi in the first place. I mean, I had the toys, I watched the movies every year with my father, and The Last Jedi truly hit me in the feels. Love it or hate it, but this movie felt like a Star Wars film, at least for me. And with Luke's transcendence, we have come full circle. It was a powerful and beautiful sending off. What was your favorite part of the Star Wars The Last Jedi? Mine was definitely the Lieutenant Salty tasting the salt and being all like, "This is salt, not snow, right guys? Because this is not The Empire Strikes Back, this is not Hoth, it's a new movie and a new planet, right?" Also, some people have pointed out that in the credits, he was actually credited as Lieutenant Salty. But apart from that, my favorite scene was the Kylo Ren team-up fight and the final scene with Luke venturing into the ether. I got the warm tingly winglings just thinking about it, man.